Good day, viewers. Welcome back to Common Ground Humanism with David Oliverio. That is I. What is an echo chamber? What is a bubble? It's important that we get out of our bubble if we want to understand what people from other worldviews believe and how can we interact with other people. I remember my favorite sitcom of all time, Seinfeld. I'm a Seinfeld fanatic. And I remember the episode of the Bubble Boy, right? He was in this isolated bubble. Many of us are in our confirmation bias bubble. We're with people that believe like us, that think like us. And then there's that lack of understanding of what other people in different bubbles are like, how they act, how they talk, and even what they believe. I like to call it the echo chamber. Now, there are many ways that I have changed through the years from a person in an isolated bubble of secularism and humanism and atheism. I had to get out of my bubble to understand and bring back my memory of what it was like to be a believer. I had a personal training business for many years, which I gave up a couple years ago. I retired. I was an in-home personal trainer in Austin. I would go into my clients' homes. This was the best teacher I've ever had. Life experiences. And I remember one of my first clients, an older woman, her name was Beverly. Sweet lady, Southern Baptist, Donald Trump Republican. She heard about me through her neighbor, who was a current client of mine. Her neighbor told her, "You should train with David. You'll like him. He'll make you laugh. You'll have fun. But I want to warn you and tell you one thing. David is an atheist. He's a humanist, a non-believer." The first couple of months training with Beverly was a little bit hard and difficult. I tried to slowly show her that I too am human, like her, right? She had told me she'd never been around an atheist, a secular humanist, or a person that was more liberal than her, ever. Because she was in her bubble like I had been in my bubble. It took about 6 months to a year to develop a good relationship. She saw my character. And I remember one day as I was giving her her workout, she stopped, put her little weight down, her weights down, looked at me and said, "David, can we talk?" I said, "Sure." And I'm thinking, uh-oh, here comes the bomb, right? Which I've had several times before. And she said, I think I need to give you an apology. I know that you don't believe like me, but I have learned to love you as a friend. I've never known anybody like you before. And it's taken you to come into my home to spend 2 or 3 hours a week with me. And we would just talk about our children, our grandchildren, other things, except religion and politics. I got out of my bubble into her bubble. Many of my clients were Donald Trump Republicans and even evangelical believers. I've had Hindus. I've had a few Muslim clients. I've had some New Age clients. I've had fellow humanist clients and atheists. I've learned that we're all alike. Another client I had, her name was Joanne, a very sweet, kind lady. She told me her journey. She was raised very evangelical Christian, and she began to change to a little more of a progressive Christian. But during that change, what really changed her was her trip overseas with her closest friend and her closest friend's son and her closest friend's son's fiance. They took a trip over to Europe across the pond. She spent a week or two with her friend and her friend's son and fiance. This young man and this young lady were atheists. Joanne didn't know how to react to an atheist. She had never been around one. She had heard that they were either Joseph Stalin type atheists. She never knew. Why? In a bubble, isolation. She spent that week or two with that young couple and her best friend. She came back a different person. She shared the story with me, and she told me that was some of the nicest young people she had ever met in her life. Very kind, very compassionate, empathetic, and sympathetic people. Another thing that I did through the years that taught me how to get out of my bubble and try to find common ground with others was just simply going out with activism on the weekends with my humanist signs. I've had my share of angry believers, but also many good stories of loving and kind Christians and all people from various religions. I remember an older couple approaching me, and she, the wife, started talking to me and asking me if I'd ever had any angry interactions with believers. I had to tell her the truth. I told her that sometimes some of the evangelical Christians have called me every name in the book with threats and you name it. And I told her that I always attempted to be kind and to find common ground with them. Many of them would not have it. And she asked me a question. She said, how could they not see? All it takes is opening up your eyes, engaging, talking to people, getting out of one's own comfort zone and echo chamber, getting out and talking to people that are different, and you'll find we're all alike. And she was preaching her sermon to the choir, of course. So we had a good time. And I said, thank you so much. I wish all believers could be like you. If we're wanting and desiring to have a more peaceful and loving world, if we stay isolated in our own little bubble, our own little communities with our like-minded friends only, then the other bubbles, the other groups will never know. Of course, they'll hear about the other groups, the other bubbles, from their leaders. And that's not always true. It's usually embellished. But to get out of one's bubble is the best way to find out that we're all human. And most of us are teaching and striving for love, compassion, and unity. Thank you so much for watching. And remember, my friends, to be kind to all. Have a wonderful day.